You're listening to Manzanita Voices, a show about writers and writing. My name is Linda Field, and today we're talking with author Rachel McKell ArceJaeger. Rachel has written a very surprising and unusual book about the old story of Robin Hood, where Robin is a woman. And Rachel, we're going to have you read a little bit more from your book right now.
The party was everything Robin feared it would be. Minstrels played gaily from the musicians' balcony at the back of the room, their music barely audible over the heavy chatter. Smoke rose from thick tallow candles in the wide hearth fire, casting a dark blue tinge across the whole assembly. 4 trestle tables spanned the front half of the hall, their contents disappearing into the greedy stomachs of the guests as quickly as the servants could replace them. The second half of the hall was filled with dancers. Robin hung back in the shadows, hoping to avoid notice. Dara, however, had a different intention for her, and constantly appeared at Robin's side, pushing her into the candlelight and more often than not into a man. Whenever this happened, propriety dictated the man asked the red-faced girl to dance, some of them placing their requests with more eloquence than others. "Ah, Robin, Robin, you're still growing. Soon no bed will hold you, and who will have you then?" Lord Greneth cackled merrily, already drunk. He grabbed Robin and pulled her onto the rush-strewn floor. "Dance with me." For once in her life, Robin was glad of her height, because it meant she could breathe the fresh air over Lord Greneth's head rather than his wine-drenched breath. Her other dance partners were not much better. They were short and in general paunchy. All were drunk. "I cannot bear much more of this," she confided to Will as he stole her away for an estampie. "You are doing very well," Will reassured her as he led her through the gentle dance. It was the only restful 10 minutes she had all evening. When the song ended, Robin saw an unfamiliar man with squinty eyes catch her gaze. He started towards her. "Stay with me, please," she begged her cousin. Will had seen the man too, and his eyes were full of pity. "I cannot," he said. He sounded truly regretful. "I promised your sister the next dance." "Marian will understand," Robin said, but she let him go. "Lady Robin," a deep voice breathed behind her, and she reluctantly turned to face the speaker. He was a tall man, almost as tall as she was, with a broad build and thick shoulders. His face was strong, with high cheekbones and a cleaved chin. He was not young, but neither was he old. She might have found him handsome, if not for his eyes. They were small and black, with a sharp gleam that made the hairs on the back of her neck start to prickle. Robin had to fight down the urge to flee from that lupine stare. "Stop it," she scolded herself. "You do not even know him." "Lady Robin," the man repeated, grinning slightly. "Sir," she began, casting around her mind for an identity. "Philip. Just Philip." Robin raised an eyebrow skeptically. Her father never invited commoners to his feasts. Nevertheless, she returned his smile politely. "Shall we?" he asked, extending his hand. His palm as he took hers was clammy. The music was another estampie. Robin wished it was a ductia or some such dance that did not require her to stand so near her partner. She moved a step away. He closed the gap between them. The crowd jostled behind her. He pulled her closer. His breath was hot and smelled strongly of brown October. She tried to step away, but his arms trapped her. The wolf gleam was back in his eyes. "What do you think you are doing?" she hissed, surprising herself with the anger in her voice. Strangely, her ire seemed to please him. "What does it look like I am doing?" he asked, and without further warning kissed her squarely on the mouth. Robin's eyes went wide, but for a moment she was too stunned to react. His lips, loose and wet, suffocated any protest. Gathering her senses, Robin tried to pull away, but the man held her tightly against his body. In desperation, she reached out and snatched at his hair, pulling his head back with a snap. Philip let her go, his face contorting with fury. For a moment she thought he would strike her. Then a change spread over his features, and to Robin's astonishment, the fury in his eyes altered to a sort of cunning humor. She followed his gaze over her shoulder and saw her father watching them from across the room, an amused smile on his face. It was the last straw. Her face red with humiliation and rage, Robin fled the room as calmly as she could, her head held high. Though she did not look back, she knew that Philip was laughing.
So this Philip is a very unsavory character, and she has very bad feelings about him. I have a feeling that he has a rather important position in this story.
He does.
He does.
He does. For those of you who don't know, this is from the first chapter of my book, and it's intended to help illustrate the sort of approach society has towards women and towards Robin at this period in time, and part of the reason why Robin sort of rebels against her position in society.
Right. By the way, my name is Linda Field. You're listening to Manzanita Voices. We're talking with author Rachel McKell ArceJaeger about her book, Robin. And Robin, this is Robin Hood, by the way, and Robin is, I get the picture that she's well born. She's born into a family that has some money and position in the community.
Correct.
And she's a very tall young lady.
Yeah, she takes after her father.
Okay, which is one reason why she's able later to disguise herself as Robin Hood and be taken for a man. And Philip, this character that she has just had this very unpleasant dance with, is going to figure in the story and be important. You did a lot of research. I heard the names of a couple of dances in there. One a slow type of dance and the other a faster one. What are the names of those dances?
It's the Estampie and the Duktia.
Huh.
Actually, there isn't a lot known about the dances of that period. These are the two dances that are actually very among the most well-known, and they can be slow dances or fast dances. It has more to do with the type of tempo and the type of step that belong to the dance than the actual pacing. But the more well-known dances, such as the quadrille or the sarabande, those didn't come into prominence until the 16th century or so, which is a couple centuries after the Robin Hood story takes place.
So you have been doing a lot of research.
I have.
That's fascinating. We're going to hear more from the story of Robin in a little while, but I do want to remind our listeners to have your pens and papers handy, because we're going to be also telling you about websites that you can go to learn more about Rachel, to learn more about Manzanita Writers Press and Writers Unlimited, and if you're interested in writing at all, to learn more about how you can get involved in the writing community. It's really wonderful to be in the company of writers, and we hope that you'll come and join us. Again, my name is Linda Field. This is Manzanita Voices, and we're talking with Rachel McKell ArceJaeger. Rachel, you when you went to college, you majored in computer science.
Correct.
And so we're very lucky to have you, especially since you have built our website. Could you please tell us about it?
So the Manzanita Writers Press website's located at www.manzapress.com. That's www.manzapress.com. And I'll repeat that later for any of you who don't have a pen and paper handy just yet. But this Writers Press website features a list of upcoming events, of upcoming readings or author signings. It has a list of the books offered by Manzanita Press or the writers in Writers Unlimited, which is the group that meets in San Andreas every 2 weeks to sort of read their stories before they're published. It's a group of local authors in the Gold Rush country. And so the website features their works. It has a couple excerpts from some of their books, a couple summaries. It has a list of the sponsors who so generously help support Manzanita Writers Press, which is an affiliate of the Calaveras Arts Council. It's a completely nonprofit organization. So the website features all this information. It's a brilliant resource if you're looking for information about writers in the Gold Rush country.
And people who go to that website will also be able to hear this program broadcast, as well as other Manzanita Voices programs, so that they can meet the authors personally, sort of, on the radio before they come and meet them in person at our events.
Correct. And once again, that website is www.manzapress.com. That's www.manzapress.com.
And then you have your own website, correct?
I do.
Okay, tell us about that.
So my website, basically, it's a combination website and blog. I go on there and I write articles regarding computer science, computers, or writing, and also personal articles relating to me or to things I read in the newspaper. So that can be found on my blog. My website is www.rmarcejaeger.com. So that's www.rmarcejaeger.com. And so in addition to my blog, which for those of you who aren't familiar with the term is basically a blog is a collection of mini articles written by the same person generally. And so my website features my blog, and it also features a list of my past literary works as well as my upcoming books. I currently have a teaser trailer on it for my book Robin, which you just heard a selection of. It features a little background about me, and in the future I hope there will be videos and radio interviews on there from not just me but from other authors in the Gold Rush area and from around the nation as well.
That's super. You're listening to Manzanita Voices. This is Linda Field, and we've been talking with author Rachel McKell ArceJaeger, and we'll be back in just a moment.